when I'm actually live.
Will do.
Because I hit the go live button.
Yeah, I can let you know.
Okay.
I think it is loading now.
Okay, it's loading up.
Hold on. You're live now.
I am live now. Can you hear me?
Hold on. Okay, I have my volume turned.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We have audio now, guys. We tried this once before and we didn't have audio. I'm so sorry about that. Hello, hello. It's nice to see all of you. We're trying something a little bit different this time. I am going to give you guys essentially the service I did for my congregation this morning. Because we try to keep the service a bit private, you know? Because people sing, they dance, and we want people to have privacy in a way that they wouldn't normally have that. So, good morning, and welcome to Mothman Ministries. We ask that you prepare your hearts and minds for time spent in community. Maybe you listen fully, communicate wisely, and love wholeheartedly. We need each other, and so we come to this place to work and dance and laugh and cry and pray. Not because this place is in itself holy ground, but because what we do here, say here, and are here makes it so. So let it be. There's a few bits of housekeeping for those of you who are in the local area. Today is the beginning of Tu B'Shavat. Tu B'Shavat is the Jewish New Year of the Trees. This holiday is observed on the 15th of the Hebrew month of Shavat. Scholars believe that originally Tu B'Shavat was an agricultural festival marking the emergence of spring. In the 17th century, Kabbalists created a ritual for Tu B'Shavat that is similar to a Passover Seder. Today, many Jewish people hold a modern version of the Tu B'Shavat Seder each year and plant trees or plants. It's a great day to learn about Judaism and sustainability. Today is also Imbolc, meaning use milk in Gaelic. That is practiced by the Irish, Scottish, and residents of the Isle of Man and by pagans to mark the beginning of spring. Pagans honor Irish goddess Brigid, a goddess of healing, fertility, poetry, and blacksmithing. Our Imbolc celebration at the church was a joyful occasion with traditional potato soup, lively conversation, and stepping through Brigid's girdle to set the intention for the new year. Today is also the feast of Saint Brigid, because there is some cultural exchange there. Our food pantry is now up and running. So if you are in the local area and you are in need of food, check out the pantry here at the church. Any unused donations will be given to the Citizens Action Group for their community meals. So we have a list of the desired donation items that is in the description down here. So if you would like to donate our donation items for our community pantry, that would be absolutely wonderful. There is a queer and women's self-defense class that takes place every Sunday at the First United Methodist Church, which is not our church, but a church we partner with. There's a community meal that is scheduled. That's the Citizens Action Group again. That'll be February 7th at noon at the Central United Methodist Church, a different United Methodist Church that we partner with. They will need volunteers to help serve the meal, so if you're in the local community, please do that. They would need volunteers to cook, and that'll be Thursday, February 5th around 5:30 p.m. here. And if you need a hot meal on the 7th, you can get one at the Central United Methodist Church. On February 7th, we will also be having a Valentine's Day Church fundraiser bake sale at the West Edge Factory for the first Saturday market. We will take donations of homemade cookies, brownies, or candies for anyone who would like to participate. We will also have copies of our cookbook there. This event will be from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. A local artist named Sasa is also going to be creating a giant mural of Mother Jones, and he has asked the community to participate. Essentially, what he does is he does the outlines, and the community comes in and fills it in, kind of like a paint by numbers. And he's done several art projects that are like this, but this new one is a mural of Mother Jones. There will be a drum circle on Friday, February 13th at 6 p.m. Just bring whatever makes noise. Sometime between the 17th and 19th of February, Ramadan will begin. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, during which the Holy Quran was sent down to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. During this time, Muslims around the world fast from dawn till sunset, a command given to Muslims in the Quran itself, instructing believers to observe fasting as an act of devotion and self-discipline. We will be celebrating Eid al-Fitr, which is the end of Ramadan, sometime, but we don't have any details on that just yet. We're still in the planning stages. Ash Wednesday is February 18th. We will be having a Death Cafe here at the church at 6 p.m. Ash Wednesday is the beginning of Lent, a Christian holiday that marks the 7 weeks of prayer, fasting, and alms giving that lasts until Easter Sunday. Because Ash Wednesday is a time to come to terms with our own mortality, we'll be having a Death Cafe here at the church. A Death Cafe is a time where we come together to talk about death and dying in order to take away the stigma of talking about this topic. This destigmatization helps people process grief and better plan for the end of their lives to prevent unnecessary suffering in case of tragedy. The typical fare at like a Death Cafe is tea, cake, and light snacks, so bring your favorite tea party snacks to share with the group. All are welcome, but Ashes and Eucharist will be available for those who desire it. All right. Now, usually in the in-person service, we do music and movement at this point, but that sounds like a copyright violation to do online. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the reading for contemplation, which is The World Keeps Ending and the World Goes On by Franny Choi. Before the apocalypse, there was the apocalypse of boats. Boats of prisoners, boats cracking under sky iron, boats making corpses bloom like algae on the shore. Before the apocalypse, there was the apocalypse of the bombed mosque. There was the apocalypse of the taxi driver warped by flame. There was the apocalypse of the leaving and the having left, of my mother unsticking herself from her mother's grave as the plane barreled down the runway. Before the apocalypse, there was the apocalypse of planes. There was the apocalypse of pipelines legislating their way through sacred water, and the apocalypse of the dogs. Before which was the apocalypse of the dogs and the hoses. Before which the apocalypse of dogs and slave catchers whose faces glowed by lantern light. Before the apocalypse of bees, the apocalypse of buses. Border fence apocalypse, coat hanger apocalypse, apocalypse in the textbooks, selective silences. There was the apocalypse of the settlement and the soda machine, the apocalypse of the settlement and the jars of scalps. There was the bedlam of the cannery, the radioactive rain, the chairless martyr demanding a name. I was born from an apocalypse, and I have come to tell you what I know, which is that the apocalypse began when Columbus praised God and lowered his anchor. It began when a continent was drawn into cutlets. It began when Kublai Khan told Marco, begin at the beginning. By the time the apocalypse began, the world had already ended. It had ended every day for a century or two. It ended and had another ending, and another ending world spun in its place. It ended and we woke up and ordered Greek coffees, drew the hot liquid through our teeth as everywhere. The apocalypse rumbled, the apocalypse remembered, our dear beloved apocalypse. It drifted slowly from the trees all around us, so loud we stopped hearing it. Now let each of us, according to our choice, enter into a spirit of contemplation, meditation, or prayer. At this time, may we open our ears, minds, and hearts to the testimony presented to the fellowship. I try not to get too Christian with my sermons these days. I know I am speaking to an interfaith congregation, so I do my best to tone that down. But today I have fire and brimstone inside of me, and I'm afraid that if I don't let it out, it might just burn me up. Because you see, there's a passage from the Bible that keeps spinning in my head. One so well known, so oft repeated, you would think my fellow Christians would take it to heart more often. That passage is Matthew 25:40. Whatever you do unto the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you do unto me. And the way this is often used in Christian theology is that whatever you do for those most vulnerable in society, you do to Jesus. That whether you see Jesus as God or a prophet or just a teacher, what you do to the most vulnerable, you do to him. But what if it's not supposed to stop there? What if we are not just meant to see cruelty towards the least of these as an affront to God, but to ourselves? Perhaps Jesus said this because it is a cross we are meant to bear. A declaration of radical empathy. Oh, Lily. Lily. What are you doing? Are you being wild? Huh? Good girl. Perhaps Jesus said this because it is a cross we are meant to bear. A declaration of radical empathy. A statement we are meant to repeat and absorb into our souls. Whatever you do to the least of these, you do to me. It is no secret that quite often the gear and equipment used in foreign wars is passed down to our domestic police departments. It is no secret that the tactics often used on Palestinians are used by ICE as well. It is no secret that the people being killed by law enforcement in broad daylight is not a new phenomenon. It has happened to our black and brown neighbors since the founding of this country, and now the definition of acceptable casualty has been expanded. Now it's anyone who looks at these guys wrong, anyone who makes them scared, anyone who bruises their ego. We have been asked to not trust our lying eyes for a long, long time. The pot is boiling over. This rot is not new. It's always been here, lurking underneath the surface. It's something that is built into a country that declared all men are created equal, but continues to deny that equality 250 years later. This violence comes for us all eventually. Whatever they can do to the least of these brothers and sisters of yours, they can do to you. I remember in 2012, when I was protesting in New York, I was not even old enough to drink and was filled with all the naive optimism of a college-age white girl looking to change the world. It was after the police had raided the encampment at Zuccotti Park and we had set up one outside Trinity Church. All the rich hipsters had returned to their lofts in Brooklyn, and those who remained were those who had given up everything to be there. Those who had no home to go back to. I was one of them. Across the street from Trinity Church was a Chase Bank. I'm not sure if it's still there, but at the time it was, and outside of that bank was an old homeless man sleeping on the sidewalk. The kind of man who should have been in a care facility, not on the concrete. When people talk about how dangerous New York is, the image that often gets conjured in their minds is the image of gang members, usually black, holding their guns sideways with bandanas wrapped around their heads. But I've met those guys, and for the most part, they just fight over Magic the Gathering cards, and will largely leave you alone if you mind your business. I'm not afraid of those guys. No, the true moral rot of New York City works on Wall Street. He dresses in a nice suit. He has a nice car he rarely drives. He smokes cigars that cost more than a month of your salary. And every night, these types of people would come shambling out of the Cipriani, drunk on expensive wine and high on cocaine, looking for a thrill. That smell You smell in Lower Manhattan the smell that gets blamed on the homeless, the smell of sweat and garbage and urine. That's not created by the least of these, not entirely. That's from rich men marking their territory. And on this particular night, one of these guys and his wife, his mistress, his female companion of some sort come stumbling down the street, and they see this homeless man lying on the ground asleep. And they just start kicking him over and over again and laughing. Eventually, the woman takes off her stiletto and starts hitting him with it until the heel breaks off. And because we were technically a protest, though not much of one at that point, a cop was standing right there, and he just turned his back, ignored the screams, and I froze up. We all did. Because there was something in those people's eyes that dared us to intervene. I'd seen violence due to rage and desperation, but that look, that was the look one gets when they scratch a mosquito bite. A deep and lingering satisfaction. They weren't doing this because they'd fallen into a bad crowd or they were desperate for money, like so many of the people labeled criminals by our society. No, they were doing this for fun, for sport. They were doing this because they could. And I was paralyzed, unable to move, scared to even breathe, as if I could stand still enough that they couldn't see me. It was the feeling one gets when they are watching someone be mauled by a wild animal, because I knew if they could do that to that old man, they could do that to me. And eventually they did. When I was by myself with no one to help me, my stillness, my silence, those things did not save me from being attacked. All it did was buy me time. This is not a mistake I will make again. I don't know if I believe in demons, but I think sometimes when people get hollowed out by all the trappings of money and white supremacy, when their culture has been stripped away from them and all their morality scooped out like the guts of a pumpkin, it makes space for something evil. And I've known who the president of this country was from the time he descended down that escalator. I know these kinds of men intimately. These men who, due to insecurity or lack of accountability, think they can do whatever they want. I keep thinking about Liam Ramos, the 5-year-old boy in a blue bunny hat who is currently sitting in a detention facility. A detention facility with closed doors where no one knows what's happening inside, but where the cries of children can be heard in the streets. I keep thinking of my own son, how he had a hat similar when he was a baby, how he has a stuffed rabbit to match, and how when he was little he couldn't sleep without it. And I just keep thinking, that little boy doesn't have his rabbit. He has nothing to hug, nothing to hold. He doesn't understand why he's there and not at home watching Spider-Man. What if he can't sleep without his rabbit? And as a father, I don't know how you don't feel that you are connected to all of humanity when you see that. How you don't feel that instinct in your guts to pick up that baby and run as far away from those masked thugs as humanly possible. What you do to the boy in the blue bunny hat, you do to me. But things are not hopeless, because the statement, whatever you do to the least of these, you do unto me, goes both ways. When we harm one another, we harm both the divine and ourselves. But when we help one another, we help both the divine and ourselves. Every time we feed the hungry, heal the wounded, visit or free the imprisoned, we feed, heal, and free ourselves. Humans are not islands. We are not meant to be alone. We are beautiful in a diverse tapestry, interwoven and interconnected. Every time we perform an act of mercy, we heal the world. we heal ourselves. I am so proud of this group, both here and online, of all the groups and leaders who have stood together in love and in mercy, of all the neighbors who have helped one another in a society that tells us to do everything ourselves. And with all those people, a wave has been created, something that ripples out. Because we have one thing that those who wish to destroy this world do not have: diversity. We have diversity on our side, diversity of people, diversity of beliefs, diversity of religions, and that is our strength, not our weakness. It is that diversity that allows us to build and strengthen our communities with a love that will not falter. Miss Lily. Miss Lily. Because we have communities based around mutual love and admiration, not fear or rage or disgust or capital. And love wins. It triumphs over all of that, always. Christianity is a religion that is fundamentally based on the idea that even when the best of us dies, that message, that love, that mercy does not. And even if you are not Christian, even if you have been hurt by the worst people my religion has to offer, I pray that you can at least take that with you. So today, love your neighbor. Hold your community close. Remember that there is no person who is too poor, too different, too far away to show mercy. Because whatever you do for the least of these, you do for the divine, and you do for you. Thank you. So as you prepare to leave this sacred space, pack away a piece of this church in your heart. Wrap it carefully like a precious gem. Carry it with you through the joys and sorrows of your days. Let its gentle glow strengthen you, warm you, remind you of all that is good and true. Until we gather here again in this place of love, move through the world in justice and in peace. Drink a water, eat a food, be kind to yourself, to your neighbor, and to the earth. Be smart, be brave, and be merciful. God bless all of you. Thank you. Now, I'm not sure whether how many people are even in here. And if you guys wanted to talk or not, I will probably go ahead and wrap up this service. My wife isn't feeling well today, and I should probably get home to her because she currently has our children, and I need to relieve her from that duty. But I adore absolutely all of you. I am hoping that this can be something. I don't give a sermon every single Sunday. I do it 2 Sundays a month because on the other Sundays, on the second Sunday, we do like work around the church and we all help to preserve this church together. That was how the food pantry got put together at the last service we had. And then the third Sunday of the month, we do Meditate and Create, which is where we shorten the service in order to create art together. Sorry about that. But so I will only be doing services on the days that I give service here. I also have a review of Wake Up Dead Man that I am almost finished editing. So that should be out next Sunday. I'm thinking it'll be next Sunday. But yeah, if you like what we do here, if you want to donate to our food pantry or to me, because I don't get paid to preach here. I do this because I feel called to do this. And I would greatly appreciate it, but do not feel pressured. I know everybody is having a very, very, very difficult time right now. The economy is absolute garbage. And so I never, ever, ever want any of you to feel pressured to donate because you probably need donations. Like that's the thing is we all got to kind of try to help each other out, see where everybody's at. So I never want anybody to feel obligated. But yeah, I think that might be. Do you all want to see? Do you all want to see the food pantry? Let me see. Let me see what I can do. Give me a second. This is our library behind me, by the way. Let's see. We can do. We got the Christmas the holiday decorations out, so you won't be able to see a whole lot the whole food pantry because we got all these things here. But this whole shelf is full of donations, and there's going to be that community meal we were talking about. Right now, the congregants can come in and take what they may need. We have people here who don't have what they need right now. But then we're giving the rest to the Citizens Action Group because they have the capacity and the time to distribute all of that. And we go out and we help them distribute. Usually, we won't be able to do that on this particular weekend because we have that the bake sale that's also happening. Usually we would, because usually they have it at the end of the month. But because this entire place is currently covered in ice, both figuratively and literally, unfortunately, not nearly as bad as Minnesota, but they're definitely out here. But it's also covered in like literal like ice. Like it is very difficult. We salted everything on the church porch today, and it's still, we couldn't chip it off. It's like a rock. So we're doing our best with the current weather. But again, thank you guys so much for everything you do. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and God bless.